Okay, we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday training here inside the Peak Productivity for High Performers Facebook group. I'm Elizabeth Galperin, the owner of Turnleaf Organizing, and I am very excited to be doing an interview today. So typically I'm on here training and you just get to see me. So today I'm excited to be welcoming a friend and expert, Amy Connor, who is the founder and president of CMO-OnLoan. I'm gonna give a little bit of background on Amy, and then I'll let you fill in the gaps, Amy. And we have a packed list of questions to go through today, but I love engagement from our audience. So if you have questions and you want to chime in the comments, please do. I'll be keeping an eye on it. We'll cover them either in the middle or at the end, and we'll make sure that everyone's questions get answered. If you catch this as a replay, I will be monitoring it all week, and I will make sure that any questions specifically for Amy will get sent to her. So don't be afraid to chime in if you are catching the replay. So I see that Kimberly Frisco is here, Lauren Kathman is here. Good afternoon, ladies. Good to see you here. So Amy is the president and owner of CMO-OnLoan, which is a business based here in Cincinnati, Ohio. She is a Dayton, Ohio native, but has been here in Cincinnati for how many years have you guys been in Cincinnati?
Since 2005.
Okay, all right, so for a while. She's also the mom of 2 daughters, so like most of us, she is managing and juggling the work from home, run the business, run the household, and run the schoolwork right now. Amy and her team at CMO-OnLoan serve mid-market companies in the greater Cincinnati area. Amy has 20 years of experience in marketing. She had several successful positions in the corporate arena, IME's company, P&G, Luxottica, and in 2016 started this entrepreneurial journey. And I'm very thrilled to have you here today. I'm excited to overlap our areas of expertise and really to help my group members here learn a little bit about marketing, but specifically marketing right now, because there's a lot of buzz around what do we need to be doing differently, and do we need to be pivoting in our strategy? So we will cover all of that here in the next couple of minutes. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Good, good. So I always like to start with the question, when you think of the word productivity or being a productive professional, how would you define that for yourself? What does that look like and feel like for you?
Yes, that's a great question. Productivity for me is a lot about making steps to my goals. So unlike the checklist that I oftentimes follow maybe too closely, a real productivity, a day that I know I've done what I needed to, is about getting, yes, those check marks done, but I know they're based on my values and based on what's important and based on the priorities I have for that time. So that to me is productivity.
Fantastic. When you engage with clients, I imagine that's not typically a question that they will say to you, like, how can you be, help me be more productive? And you and I have had some conversations about this offline. So from your perspective, when you come in and work with a client, and if you want to kind of let us know how that starts off, feel free to provide as much information as you want. From your perspective, once you're working with them, how do you see the work that you and your team are providing? How do you see that impacting personal productivity of leadership, or just overall productivity of the company, of the team?
Yeah, actually, it's one of my favorite things. What I realized when I left the corporate world and started meeting mid-market companies in this area, a lot of them had fantastic businesses, and they were leaders who were tired of doing marketing. So they were not feeling very productive, or they had a few people in their team trying to do marketing on a part-time basis with really no direction. So the reason we get hired a lot of the times, maybe they don't say it's productivity, but they are saying, this is just not working. Or I want to grow to a level and I know I can't be that productive in the way I'm doing this. And again, they may not use those exact words, but it's the idea that they're getting across. So what we do when we come in is we usually start with like a marketing makeover. So we come in, we look at their processes, their people, and their plan. And it's all about focus. So how you and I start off is similar. We say, where are you in this journey? And our goal is to get them to a place of confidence in marketing. And it's all about focus and everybody doing what's really right for each person. And then a lot of times, quite honestly, we stop doing a lot of things, a lot of activities that actually, they don't link to the business goals, but they're a little bit afraid to stop doing them. And I see a lot of fear getting in the way of really productive marketing, and feeling like I just have to go sell, I have to go tell people what to do versus build relationships. And again, that's a focus. And are you being productive, or are you just, sending out a lot of things? So that's really how we work. And in the end of the day, my favorite thing people say is, man, you were a catalyst. You helped me get to a better place. We want to be alongside with them, but really in the end, we want them to be confident in it.
Yeah. I think you pointed out something really important, which is sometimes being more productive is actually doing less, right? It's like minimalism applied to business. And so, having an expert like you, I think is so important, because otherwise you go and you listen to, the other generalist experts who say you should be doing these 10 things. And then somebody else says you should be doing these 7 things. And if you're like me, I don't have a marketing background. So I just kind of assume, well, I guess I have to be doing all of these things, where it's not catered to me, my company, my market, my region. So I think it's just such an important thing to point out, that it's not really about doing more. It's often about doing less, but doing it well.
You're so right. Even when I worked at Luxottica, I ran a $50 million media budget, which sounds like a lot of money. But when you're dealing with lens crafters and thousands of optical retailers out there, it's really hard to break through. So even at Luxottica, we had to make really hard choices and get really focused on who's our customer, what are we trying to do, and how do we reach them in the right way. So it doesn't matter how big your budget is, you just work with it in a similar way.
Yeah, fantastic. Love it. Okay, so if we can, let's kind of pivot to, it is May 7th, 2020, and we are 2 months in to the COVID-19 experience.
Yes,
what are some things that you can share with our audience around, things that maybe we do need to be doing differently, or things that we need to be staying the course on? Because I tend to, my mindset is we need to keep life moving. And so I'm really not focused on stop and retreat. And, I really want to keep going. But I think there's that idea, well, we need to be sensitive to other people and the circumstances. So what can you share with us on that topic?
Absolutely. Number one is make sure you know who your audience is. There is a huge range. The good news is a lot of businesses, they're on pause. They're not totally shut down. I feel for the people who are absolutely shut down and their customers or their consumers are shut down. That's a different story. For that, yeah, you do kind of have to pause, and it's a good time to regroup. But let's say you still want to be out there marketing, building your name. People are listening right now. So if you have a digital presence, let's say you have a website, make sure it's correct. Let's get to the basics here. If you're in the B2B space, make sure that your LinkedIn profile is correct. Make sure that your Facebook profile is correct. Just make sure that's correct, because those are a lot of things we find when we go into businesses, they're not even updated, and people have a lot more time. Now, if you're 2 steps beyond that, and you're like, okay, everything's correct, it's right, I feel good about what my house looks like online, like my business online, just get those straight. Then start posting relevant, useful information. Number 2 is useful, relevant information. There's a lot going on. You don't need to give too much content, too many words. People are skimming, not reading. But I bet you've got expertise that you can provide. So think about who you're talking to. What could they use right now? People are being very creative and everyone's listening. So the third one is, if you have opportunities to reach out, to talk to people that you hadn't been able to talk to before, I'll tell you, you can get in several more hours of work a day. Not that you should, but you can with Zoom calls. You're not driving around all the time. So I would say, keep the course with marketing that was working, the things that you can look at and say, yes, I'm reaching out. I'm telling people that we are a good organization and that we're worthy of talking to or working with in the future. And then watch out for those, you don't want to exploit anything. You don't want to play on fear, but I don't think the people who are in this live today are really those type of people. But I would say just have confidence. People want to hear from you. Even connecting, people are more open than ever to just getting a phone call right now. So I'd say stick to your current, connect with people, and be online. That's where everybody is right now, and it's a 1 in a million chance.
Yeah. What's your perspective, Amy, on, and I don't know if you feel like this falls under the category of marketing, but the communication with your current clients and, checking in on them, making sure that they're doing all right. Is that something that you consistently build into clients' marketing strategy?
100%. Well, yes, it's for a lot of times you're looking for new clients. Right now, the hardest thing to do is going out and meeting new people, even if you're meeting on a web call. So yes, your current clients, you got to take care of them. They're the people you know. They're the people who chose you already. You want to do a couple of things. You want to, just be kind, show them that you do care about them. We created a guide and we called every single one of our current clients, our past clients, and said, we're not going to charge you. We just want to spend a little bit of time and we want to make sure you are comfortable with what you're communicating right now. Now, you don't have to do that. You don't have to offer anything complimentary, but like I said, people are willing to be open. If you are out there and you have people you don't know that well, but now's a good time to reach out if you've got something that's useful. But yeah, I have a regular cadence where I reach out to my current clients to make sure they're doing okay. And if there's anything I can do to help them.
Yeah. I don't know if I've talked about this recently here in this group, but as business owners and leaders, there's that teeter-totter of spending time working in the business, servicing your clients, even, managing your team, and then working on the business. So building the systems and improving the, technology. I think part of what you're saying, or what I can add to that comment, is right now, with the potential slowdown in new clientele, it's a perfect opportunity to look at your marketing strategy and to say, I'm not super busy with new clients and onboarding, so let me use this time productively to assess my current systems and to work on the infrastructure, on the business side of things, so that when business returns, when new clients are ready to spend dollars, you've used that time wisely and you've kind of shored up those strategies and those systems.
Yes, I totally agree. And actually, we had just started working with an audiologist right before this shutdown. And anybody who's worked with healthcare, they're busy being doctors and audiologists every day. And so generally, they do not have time to think about their marketing, even like, what should we say to our patients? And we took the last several weeks working on his strategy, and then he was calling all of the different physician offices and staying in touch with them. So I would say absolutely, the ones who are going to come out of this strong have taken this opportunity to just reflect what's working, what's not working, not making major changes, just doing the things that are always on the list that would mean true productivity, but they may not have gotten to.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so a couple of other questions, or I guess let me phrase it this way. Any other pieces of advice, strategies that, fall into that idea of, being smart, being sensitive with marketing, things that they could take action on today? you and I, before we press record, we were talking a little bit about like updating, my Google profile. What are some things that we might be overlooking, we haven't revisited for a while, that could have a good marketing effect, good ROI?
Yeah, I have two things. One is reach out to someone in your professional network that you haven't talked to in a while. Specifically, if you had a long relationship with them, like I just reached out to somebody from P&G. He replied in 20 minutes, and now we're going to connect and potentially do business together. It's so easy. Either go on LinkedIn, you can find people's names, Facebook, and your contacts. Reach out and just say, hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time. Reigniting that contact list that you haven't talked to in a long time is going to immediately build your connections, because now they've had other connections. So that's number one. Number two, like you said, is update your profiles, get things cleaned up, and post something. Just start being active and put it on your calendar. This comes from Elizabeth telling me, put it on your calendar to do it once a week. You don't have to do it every day. You don't have to share something several times a day. Just start building that habit or that system that you talk about. So those are the two things. Marketing is really, to me, about relationships. And it's not about convincing or conniving or anything like that. It's really about serving people that you care about. And now's a great time to tap in somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time and make sure that people know that you're out there.
Fantastic. So I'm going to look at the question Kim sent earlier. So Kim, turn your ears on. Kim asked, what are some ways you've seen companies educate their entire organization to be marketers? Each employee is a representative of the brand. So how do you get everyone to know why the organization exists and not just what they do? Awesome question.
Somebody told me earlier today, communication solves everything. And communicate. So especially for leaders, you oftentimes forget, oh, I know this already. You'd be surprised how that telephone game works. So for leadership, it's a constant reminder that people probably don't understand. But then the second thing, I find this in marketing a lot, is you'll have a great plan and you'll have a high-level strategy, but then you have a bunch of marketing activities. And with those marketing activities, they don't directly link to those business metrics. So they don't understand why they're doing those things. And it just feels like, for example, I have a lot of agencies and things that have introverts. They don't love to go network. Good news right now, right? So that's fantastic. But they don't want to go out and meet a bunch of people. They don't want to post on LinkedIn all the time. And I understand that. So you need to make sure they know, do you realize you have 10 followers? I have 10 followers. If we each share the post from the company, that's going to reach our goal of building our reputation, because now we've just doubled the impact. But it's a relatively simple way to explain it, but we usually miss that step. And so like, why do I go? Why should I do it? Somebody else is doing it.
Yeah. I think also in a way that kind of leads us to, what kind of a culture have you developed at your business? And if each of your employees has commitment and loyalty and sees how they are not just a cog in the wheel, but that they're actually like one of the critical pillars in the business, then they can see that even if sharing a post, it's not directly related to my position, but that the more I help strengthen the company, the more I help strengthen my piece here, right? So I think that is in a way a culture aspect of, everyone's smaller actions lead to the bigger results.
It is absolutely a culture thing, and it's a tough one because people are busy. They don't see where this fits in the priority. And as you would say with productivity, if it doesn't fit in your top priorities, it's going to be hard to get done. It just is. So that's why you have to communicate it from the top and also translate what it is we're trying to do and how you can help.
Yeah.
And it also has to be modeled from the top.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. If the leader's not doing it, then why the heck would I be doing it? So you've
Yeah,
got to get the leadership to be demonstrating, to walk the, the talk. And then, if you're a good leader and you are pulling people up with you, then they're going to follow your lead.
totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, Nancy Peterson has a question here. Often marketing is one of the first places that companies cut from their budget. Yes. Often it is one of the areas that they start back up when things start to improve. What industries do you think will focus on marketing spends again?
That's a great point. I think it's going to be very, absolutely varied, as probably her question is beginning to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think hopefully for all of our sakes, everybody stops with the same commercial, different company, different industry to start. Like there are a lot of companies from auto to everything who are saying the same thing still. So
Mm-hmm.
I picture that's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
The big companies are continue to build their equity. So if you think about what they're doing right now, is they're just keeping us in the back of their mind with a good message that they think is appropriate. So Nancy, I'd say first, you're going to see big companies maintain. And then where I think you'll see the biggest difference, like for lens crafters has been closed. So there's been really no reason to have a lot of media. So we may not have noticed exactly, because it's not really, if we're not into that market, we might not have noticed, but you're going to see as major chains, especially, and if you think of retail, you're going to see them a lot more. It's going to be really on the consumer side that we see that. Now, people who will cut for a long term are just going to be closed, but I would be surprised if you open back up and you don't turn on media, you're just not going to get that demand. Hopefully the surge in demand, but the demand that's coming back.
Yeah.
Now you might see some people holding back at the beginning, because again, if you can only have half your capacity in a restaurant or a store or whatever, media dollars are expensive, but there is a threshold. They are going to have to do something.
Mm-hmm. Would it be fair to say, if you only have X number of dollars, instead of putting them towards the costly, expensive, maybe television, at least you're still keeping your presence on social? Maybe you're doing more of the marketing or the Facebook ads, or that, it's a matter of don't completely stop the marketing because people forget you quickly, but to maybe
Yes, they do.
divert it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. In a lot of our businesses, we serve their mid-market. They're between $5 and $50 million in annual revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also, a lot of them are business to business. They're not doing even TV or print or anything like that. A lot of theirs is the unpaid, whether it's social media or, with Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Pinterest, whatever your target is, wherever your target is. And that you can get responses and ROI pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And those are people who oftentimes are in your category, or you pull them in with like Facebook advertising. So for me right now, digital is the first place we go. If you're cutting things, whether you like it or not, events are being cut, which is usually a big ticket. So you should have some extra dollars to spend on some of these things. We call it lower funnel, meaning people who are closer to the buying process. And that's where we'd recommend you start first. And then you build out, you build that funnel out, so to speak.
Yeah, makes sense. And yeah, I think, it's the challenge right now is there's just a whole lot of, next week, maybe we'll find out some of the plans for Ohio's, retailers. And so there's just a lot of, like, you focus on what you have control over, because there's a lot of facts that we don't have control over right now.
Yes, and that's where, like, if you've got a good database of current customers and you're closed, keep talking to them. If you've got something you can help them with at home, keep talking to them. They're still your customers, right? Or you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Jennifer Daravan, I might be saying her last name wrong, but I think you know her. Her question is, you're highly organized, Amy. What tips with what's going on would you suggest for remaining flexible to the evolving changes and still keep the structure required to check off your to-dos?
question. It's probably even better for Elizabeth to answer, as she's taught me a lot in a short period of time. It's focused. Here's what I'll tell you. I think I learned from you, Elizabeth, and that is focus on some priorities. Yes, for the week, but then even for the day. So what are the things that are really important today that get you to your goals? And then commit, right, is what she says. Commit to what you're going to do today. And that is something I still need to work on. But I think it's really, I'm seeing it very fruitful. So Elizabeth, please add on to that.
Well, I think what I would add is maintaining a schedule, maintaining a routine. Even if it is maybe slightly fewer hours a day, or, normally you spend 3 hours on, marketing content, and because you've got kids to take care of and pets to take care of, you can only spend 2 hours, but it's keep the routine going, keep the consistency. Don't just, kind of throw your hands up and say, well, I only have 3 hours today, so that's not enough to get things done. So it's definitely the consistency, the routine. It's okay. I normally tell people, you don't want to change your schedule every week, but in these times, it might be valuable on Sundays to look and say, this is what I was planning on doing, but what changes have come about that I maybe need to make an adjustment. But it's, it's making those adjustments ahead of time versus in the moment. And if we can minimize how frequently we're being reactive, then the more we can stay the course, we can stick to the plan, and we can get the items checked off the list. The other thing, Jennifer and Amy and I talked about this earlier this morning, quality over quantity, right? So if you have a small amount of time, what's the one activity that if you get that done, you have performed some high quality work today? And, you may still have 10 things on the to-do list, but if 8 of those were busy work, then, you were productive. You accomplished the most important thing. Yeah, Steve, consistent morning routine. Absolutely. It builds your foundation to a great day. And what I also coach my clients on as part of that morning routine is taking care of yourself. Because if you get up in the morning and you are, immediately in reactive mode, and, there's things going on and you haven't had a chance to kind of ground yourself, the rest of the day, is not going to go well. So even if you need to, I have girlfriends who are like, I took a 30-minute shower today because I needed 30 minutes of no one screaming my name and asking for something. That's what you need to do. Do that. Get your morning set. Get grounded, get your intentions clear, and make sure that you've taken care of you. It's that whole oxygen mask analogy. You got to take care of you first, so you can then take care of the rest of the team, the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Amy, any other tips that you are using currently that you feel have really helped you with time management as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, that maybe, weren't really applicable when you were working in corporate?
Accountability coach, accountability buddy, whatever you want to call it. I am much more likely to do something if I know someone's counting on me to do it or knows that I'm going to do it. And it may seem simple. I have, my consultants, my team members, I'll tell them, let's set a meeting. Let's do this. And I promise you I'll have it done by that time. Otherwise, I can just let it slide. So I've been working corporate for so long. So you always had all these people around, and yes, you kind of directed your time, but you kind of knew the flow of things, and you had lots of other people directing your time. Jumping into this, you really have to get clear on what's important, which is good, but then sometimes you just need somebody to help you.
Yeah. And I would add to that, giving yourself some sort of a reward once you've stuck to the plan. I mean, as humans, in fact, there's science in terms of habit development, and it's a cycle, and the 4th step is reward. And sometimes we need to remember that just because we're grown-ups doesn't mean we don't need a pat on the back, and that we don't potentially need a tangible reward that will encourage us to, to do it again and to stick with the plan. So don't forget that part.
I like that.
Let's see. I think we've answered everyone's questions. Oh yeah, Steve, you are recommending the book The Morning Miracle by Hal Elrod. And yes, Atomic Habits by James Clear. That one is, Atomic
I love
Habits is in
that.
my top 5 books of all time. There's just amazing science behind habit routine, developing your best practices. So definitely agree with you on that, Steve. All right, well, I like to keep these at 30 minutes, and we are right at 30 minutes. So do you have a favorite quote that either applies to business or that you kind of go to when you need motivation, focus, a little bit of a morale boost?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek,
Mhm.
who started with start with why.
Mhm.
And his quote is, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Mm.
And this all for me and my family. And that gets you to the heart of what marketing, I think the best marketing is making sure you do it well and you communicate it well to the people that you're serving.
Yeah. 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 There's lots of other people out there offering what you have to offer. So you got to get that connection of why it's important to you and why, as a client, they're going to be valuable to you. Awesome. Amy, I think you have let people know how they can find you, connect with you, and if they want to learn a little bit more about working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Amy Connor, or CMO-OnLoan.com. We'll put that dash in there, CMO-OnLoan. On Facebook, I'm Amy McMinn Connor, love to connect. And then also I'm offering a free 30-minute consultation for anybody who wants to go through their specific plan. We've got a quick questionnaire, help you get together your communication plan now and then as you're hopefully coming out of this pandemic.
Fantastic. And Amy, I saw that Kim asked you about that guide that you sent to clients. So if that's something that you're willing to share with some folks on
Absolutely.
here, I think that would be another amazing resource. So we'll
Happy
either
to share.
post. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time and your expertise, Amy. If anybody has questions that they think of after the fact, you can certainly drop them in the comments here, or again, reach out to Amy or myself directly. If you're watching the replay, I said this earlier, but feel free to give us your ahas and your questions and thoughts, and we'll kind of keep an eye on this post throughout the week. I hope everybody has a great, productive Thursday. And funny, Steve, that you should mention Atomic Habits, because next week, my theme of the week is going to be habit development. So next week's training will be on a component of creating positive habits and or getting rid of some of the less than desirable habits that we as humans have. So looking forward to seeing everybody in future trainings. And Amy, thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.